A cold rain is still falling on our WRAL weather alert day across much of our viewing area. I'll show you when it finally pulls away.
A mother charged with shooting her 4-year-old faced a judge just a short time ago. Why she was allowed to bond out of jail shortly after her arrest.
Today, Congress will gather on Capitol Hill to certify the election of President-elect Donald Trump. How the ceremonial process clears the way for his next term.
It is just a cold, uncomfortable rain out there. Raw conditions on this WRAL weather alert day. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. The WRAL Storm Tracker is out on the roads and came across a crash there on I-40 in Cary. We'll get out to Eric Miller in just a moment. Rain will taper off, but temperatures will be dropping quickly. Our team coverage begins with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner and a big swath of rain falling down on the triangle right now.
It is still coming down out there and just really uncomfortable with temperatures mainly in the 30s. You'll notice a few splotches of pink still. Those pink splotches are an indication of a wintry mix. We had the potential for just a little bit of light freezing rain. We did see that in just a few places, but it certainly has not been a widespread issue. Notice right here, just in our far eastern viewing area, it's starting to change over to blue. Wouldn't be surprised to see just a little bit of sleet or maybe a little snow, especially as we get through the afternoon along toward Roanoke Rapids, north and east, and definitely on up in Virginia. If you're going to be traveling north into Virginia, you're going to run into rapidly deteriorating conditions. Let's take a look at Futurecast. We see that rain zipping out of here pretty quickly. Some drizzle possible during the evening commute, but pretty much the rain will be over. And again, that snow continues. As a matter of fact, South Hill still in a winter weather advisory overnight tonight and into early tomorrow, because we'll continue to have that potential for some snowfall there, but not for most of our viewing area. This is a look at where Storm Tracker is right now. There on I-40. Eric Miller is there where that accident is happening right there. Eric, tell us what you're seeing.
Elizabeth, it is a messy, downright unpleasant day out on the roads here. We have got crashes all the way across the map, and we've seen quite a few here from the WRAL Storm Tracker. Sending you out live right now. This is I-40 at Harrison Avenue. You can see we've got a multi-vehicle crash there. Taking the wide view, you can see that has 2 lanes of 40 westbound here at Harrison Avenue completely shut down. It's not clear if weather was a factor here in this crash. That's something we're still checking in with State Highway Patrol to learn. But you can see we have Highway Patrol units as well as fire crews on this scene. Multiple vehicles. They're working to get towed away here at this point. And again, we have seen crashes like this all the way across the map, all around Raleigh here this afternoon, this morning. These conditions, always a good reminder to take it easy, take it slow. You don't want to end up in a situation like this. And if you do end up passing by one of these crashes, you know, that constant reminder we hear from first responders, you really need to slow down and move over to give these guys space to work. Even on a good day, you need to be doing that, but especially on a day like this where conditions are so much more slippery, so much more dangerous, and you see the consequences right there. As we're getting close to this scene, you can see it looks like we do have a vehicle down here off the shoulder. We'll keep monitoring these conditions, let you know more of what we're seeing from out here on the roads.
Thanks, Eric. Boy, it is definitely messy out there. Goodness gracious. It's a good day to not have to be out if you're that lucky. Here's a look at Mecklenburg County, Virginia. You can see here up around South Hill and Clarksville, the winter weather advisory there continues into tomorrow morning. So we might still have some delays or even some school closings there in Mecklenburg County, Virginia. They're just that much closer to where the bulk of the precipitation is. It's still cold up there, too. 32 in Roxborough, 31 in Henderson and in Roanoke Rapids. So still a few spots there that are at or below freezing. So just keep that in mind. Be careful there. Durham and Raleigh, we're up to 38 degrees and we're at 43 in Fayetteville. Look at this. Clinton at 65. This is crazy. And 39 over here in Irwin. This is something that happens fairly frequently when we have a warm front that's crossing the area and that warmer air slides a little farther to the north. It's messy, messy, messy here in downtown Raleigh right now, where it is 38 degrees and our high temperature this afternoon likely to climb to around 48 or so. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to talk about our chance for more wintry weather this weekend.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center. Speaking of wintry weather, the farther north you go, the more snow you're going to see. Places like Baltimore, Maryland, Washington, D.C., New York, seeing a lot of snow right now. And in turn, it's causing a lot of chaos at airports nationwide. Right now, total in the U.S., About 3,200 delays, 1,700 cancellations. Here locally at RDU, we're seeing about 61 delays and 32 cancellations. And if you take a look at where Reagan, Baltimore, Washington International, Dulles, Philadelphia are those airports that are being affected. Just taking a look at Reagan National, 461 cancellations today, 57 delays. And the farther north you go, the more delays you're seeing as well. 115 delays at Boston, 72 cancellations. If you have a flight today, check it before you get out the door.
A huge impact on air travel for sure. Well, slick road conditions in Person County caused a driver to slide off the road and then crash into the woods. This is a look at the aftermath. Around 6 this morning, the driver was traveling on Wesleyan Road when he came across patchy ice and slid off the road. The SUV tires blew out before crashing. State troopers responded to the scene. The driver was not injured and did remain on the scene until a tow truck got there. You can count on WRAL to update you on the weather situation all day and especially the evening commute. We'll bring you the latest weather coverage on WRAL.com, WRAL News Plus, and the WRAL app.
Breaking news this noon. Southern Pines police are looking for a man accused of stabbing his father. It happened at a home on Cypress Circle yesterday, shortly before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Police say 20-year-old Chase Terziu stabbed his father several times. His father was flown to the hospital for treatment. Police say Terziu left the scene in his father's GMC truck before officers got there. The truck was found in Brunswick County, but police are still looking for Terziu. Now, officers believe he has a gun, and they say he should be considered dangerous. If you know where he is, call 911. Also new this noon, a Durham mother accused of shooting her young daughter faced a judge. 24-year-old Vintasia Soul bonded out of jail on Saturday, hours after that shooting happened. WRAL's Monica Casey was in the courtroom, and Monica, that little girl was critically injured.
That's right, Jeff. We know the victim in this case is a 4-year-old girl, and police say she was shot by her mother. Vintasia Sal was in tears in court today, waiting for her first appearance. Court records show her daughter had injuries to her spleen, liver, kidney, and stomach. This happened near the Durham Housing Authority's Cornwallis community on Saturday afternoon. According to Broadcastify radio traffic, the person who called 911 drove that girl to the hospital. Court records also show the gun used was a rifle.
All right, you charged with 2 Class E felonies. What would you like to do regarding this? For the appointed attorney, you can have a seat on the bench.
I tried to talk to Sal after her first appearance, asking if she wanted to say anything about what had happened. She did not want to speak with us. Her next court date is set for February 17th. I've reached out to Durham police for an update on that little girl's condition, and we are still waiting to hear back right now. Live in Durham, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
We now know the names of 2 people who died in a crash in Sampson County near Clinton. This is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker around 12:30 this morning on Reedsford Road. State Highway Patrol says the driver, Angel Garcia, was speeding and veered off the road, hit a mailbox and 2 trees. He was not wearing a seatbelt. His passenger, Daniel Gonzalez, was wearing a seatbelt, but he also died in that crash.
In less than an hour, Congress will meet in a joint session to certify President-elect Donald Trump's victory in the presidential election. Vice President Kamala Harris will preside over the counting of electoral votes from each state. Today also marks 4 years since the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Over 140 officers were assaulted by Trump supporters who stormed the building that day. Today, fencing surrounds the Capitol complex. NBC's Ryan Nobles previews today's event.
Congress convenes in Washington this morning with a simple yet important job: certify the ballots from the Electoral College to officially pave the way for Donald Trump to once again be sworn into office on January 20th, with the president-elect's 2024 opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, presiding. Harris describing her role in a video message shared with NBC News.
The peaceful transfer of power is one of the most fundamental principles of American democracy. This duty is a sacred obligation. one I will uphold.
The certification will mark an important step in the GOP taking full control of power in Washington. In addition to Trump retaking the Oval Office, Republicans took back majorities in both the House and Senate last week, with House Speaker Mike Johnson narrowly holding on to the top job on the first ballot.
We have a mandate. People want an America First agenda.
And while today is expected to be uneventful, the remnants of the chaos and violence from 4 years ago, when over 140 officers were assaulted, remain. Heavy fencing lines the Capitol complex, and hundreds of Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol on that day have been convicted of their crimes. All of it led to changes in the certification process and increased security. President Biden, writing in a Washington Post op-ed overnight, that America, quote, cannot accept a repeat of what occurred 4 years ago, adding an unrelenting effort has been underway to rewrite, even erase the history of that day. We cannot allow the truth to be lost. Earlier, asked about his predecessor and soon-to-be successor.
I think what he did was a genuine threat to democracy. I'm hopeful that we're beyond that.
But Trump himself refuses to take any blame for that day and has even promised pardons for some of those convicted.
And we're following breaking news. Less than 30 minutes ago, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau resigned as leader of the ruling Liberal Party. In a live announcement, Trudeau said he cannot be the best option in the upcoming election. He has led the Liberal Party for 11 years and served as Prime Minister for 9. Trudeau is facing crises, including Donald Trump's tariff threats, the resignation of key allies, and disastrous opinion polls.
President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are expected to attend an interfaith prayer service in New Orleans tonight. The event is hosted by the Archdiocese of New Orleans. The president will deliver remarks honoring the victims of the New Year's Day attack. Yesterday, Biden pushed back against conspiracy theories that urged New Orleans residents to ignore them. Take a live look right now. Stocks and New York Stock Exchange beginning its week of trading here, first full week of the new year with trading, with a big bump in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, as you see right now, up 332 points this noon. All major indices up as well.
There are only a few days left to enroll in health insurance for 2025. 5 on Your Side is here to help. Tomorrow, you can get answers to your questions about Affordable Care Act plans for free. Experts with the North Carolina Navigator Consortium will be here at WRAL taking your calls, answering questions, and scheduling appointments to sign you up for an ACA plan. Phone lines will open tomorrow from 4 until 7 p.m. Next at noon, lying in repose, the visitation for the former president today, and what's next as Americans say goodbye.
Also, a Wichita whiteout is how a monster storm is affecting millions of people across the country.
And sticker shock over property values, how people in Johnston County are reacting to a giant bump in value.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Bring you back this noon as we look live inside the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library and Museum. This is in Atlanta, where the former president is lying in repose. Tomorrow, former President Carter will be taken to Washington, where he will lie in state at the Capitol Rotunda before his funeral service at the Washington National Cathedral. NBC's Jay Gray reports from Atlanta, where Americans are taking a chance to say goodbye and thank you.
Well, despite rain that's been hard at times and colder weather here, crowds continue to gather at Jimmy Carter's Presidential Library in Atlanta to pay their respects to the 39th president. Former President Carter really set the benchmark for service by a president after leaving the White House, and few in or outside the political arena really have come anywhere close to his reach or matching his impact as a global humanitarian, helping the disabled and the needy across the United States and around the world, fighting disease and fighting for democracy and fair elections. President Carter spent most of his life, 80 of his 100 years, in rural Georgia. He lived in the same house that he built with his wife Rosalind in 1962, only leaving there twice, once to spend 4 years in the governor's mansion here in Atlanta, and then 4 years in the White House as well. He was someone who was very active in his faith, someone who spent a lot of time in his community, and he's being remembered for that by so many who say he was really what was best about their state, about our country.
President Carter represented a lot of people, and we were very proud of him. We respected him.
A respect that will follow the former president to Washington. His body will travel to the nation's capital tomorrow. He will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda ahead of his funeral set for Thursday morning at the National Cathedral. That's the latest from here in Atlanta. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
President Biden is banning future offshore drilling for oil and gas development in parts of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. This morning, the White House announced the executive order will invoke the 1953 Outer Continental Shelf Lands Act. The law gives presidents broad authority to withdraw federal waters from future oil and gas leasing and development, but it doesn't give presidents explicit authority to revoke the action and put federal waters back into development. That means Trump would have to get Congress to change it before he could reverse Biden's move.
Now to that monster storm affecting tens of millions of Americans. A deadly winter storm is pummeling the mid-Atlantic after causing crashes, flight cancellations, and knocking out power to hundreds of thousands over the weekend.
Can't even see down the street. Can't even see in the dang sky. Winter Storm Blair.
At least 3 people died in traffic crashes caused by the storm. 2 people in Wichita died when their SUV slid and went down an embankment. And a dump truck slid out of control in Missouri, killing a 61-year-old pedestrian. And now to Washington, D.C.'s popular Georgetown neighborhood. U.S. federal offices in Washington, D.C. are closed today due to the wintry weather that will not impact Congress. Speaker Mike Johnson says despite today being the snowiest day in 2 years, lawmakers will proceed with election certifications. And we will follow that for you as we are following all that wintry weather. Virginia, Maryland, New York getting all kinds of snow. But for us, it's all rain.
It's rain. You don't have to go too far. Once you get up closer to, say, Richmond, maybe 2+ hours north of the Triangle, you're going to run into that snow. So keep that in mind. You might think, traveling to the west would be a problem, but the mountains actually saw some wintry mix there. They did see snow over the last several days, but this has been mostly rain. Most likely now, though, it'll start to change back over to snow. So you could run into some issues there sometime in the next 24 hours or so. Dual Doppler 5000 radar for us showing rain, just a little bit of purple still showing up on the map. This is where our temperatures are still sitting at, or maybe a degree or so below freezing. We did not end up with widespread issues here. There was definitely a little bit of light glazing, freezing rain, but again, we were pretty lucky this morning not to have any widespread issues there. We'll zoom in here and take a look at where Storm Tracker is right there on the Beltline, just south of Raleigh right now, and that's where Eric Miller is out on the roads, and boy, it is messy, messy, messy out there currently. You can see the windshield wipers really moving quickly. Lots of spray, lots of water happening. We still have probably another hour to hour and a half before this moves out. But the evening commute will not look like this. It does look like we'll start to see some gradual clearing, and I'm not expecting that we'll see any rain during the evening commute. But it is definitely messy out there right now. Let's take a look at some of the ice that formed in a few places. Thanks to Teresa Evans from Vance County. She said her deck was covered with some freezing rains. You can see that ice there on her steps, looks like leading up to her hot tub. Hot tub would be a really fun place to be for today for sure. Notice by 2 o'clock, the rain has shifted eastward. It is still likely to be fairly cloudy. We may see a little bit of drizzle, but we're not likely to see any more heavy rain. We'll continue to see some snow up into Virginia, and that could sweep past Mecklenburg County and some of the northeastern counties in North Carolina. But most of our viewing areas should not be affected by that. We will see our winds shifting to northerly and really starting to pick up, and that's going to bring us some much colder temperatures. We're going to talk about what the wind chill will feel like tomorrow morning, which just looks bitter. But just another reminder that South Hill, Virginia is still in a winter weather advisory until tomorrow morning. So just keep in mind there could still be some delays for Mecklenburg County for tomorrow. Again, that winter weather advisory moves up into Virginia, and then it's a winter storm warning from D.C. We saw all that snow stretching all the way back here across parts of the Midwest. So still plenty of snow with this particular system. We'll talk temperatures again. 32 in Roxborough, 31 Henderson, 31 in Roanoke Rapids. Rapids, those are the spots that are at or just, again, a degree below freezing. So still really chilly there. Around the Triangle, we're in the mid to upper 30s, and it's warmer down south, mainly upper 30s. But look at this, it's 59 degrees in Clinton. Temperatures right now along the coast, especially the Wilmington area, is in the 60s. Raleigh is wet. The rain is still coming down pretty steadily, and you can see that in front of the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences. It is 38 degrees. We'll climb up into the upper 40s for this afternoon. Fayetteville, 64, 66 in Clinton. So I almost want to just like put that in a whole different category. Speaking of different category, we may see another round of some wintry precipitation over the weekend, Friday into Saturday. The amount of wintry weather we see will depend on the track of the storm. If it's farther north, it's mostly going to be rain. If it's farther south, we'll have a chance for some wintry weather. We're going to go into that in a lot more detail coming up in just 30 minutes. In the meantime, we're looking at cold temperatures. Look at this. Tomorrow morning, 26 and then low 20s by the middle of the week. We'll talk more about the wind chill that goes with that, too, coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. 4 years after hundreds of Americans stormed the U.S. Capitol, more than 1,000 rioters have been arrested. Coming up at 4, we are looking into the punishments that rioters from North Carolina are facing.
And then at 5, Johnston County residents are raising concerns about skyrocketing property values. The other counties also seeing an increase.
When I think about Hoda, I really do think about her heart. That's who she is.
It's a Hoda-bration. Hear what friends and colleagues are saying that they'll miss most about the Today Show co-host.
A movie chain is offering a new BYOB deal. No need to get up in arms. It stands for Bring Your Own Bucket. When you can take advantage of this special deal later.
And welcome back. WRAL News available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. Big celebration today, a Hoda-bration. Today marked the beginning of a week-long farewell for Today co-anchor Hoda Kotb. She is leaving the show after Friday's broadcast, but will leave behind an incredible legacy.
Mark Barker reports on Hoda's impact on Today through the eyes of her colleagues.
Hoda is officially the co-anchor of Today. Let's give her a round of applause.
It's an affection for Hoda Kotb
People can't get enough of her.
that's only grown.
Oh yeah, this is the cool crowd.
Over her 7 years on Today.
Go Dogs!
Hoda is loved by every single person on our crew, in the control room, the producers, every person on the plaza, everyone.
Years with Dateline prepared Hoda to tackle each morning's top stories.
Is there an ongoing search for others?
But away from Today's anchor desk,
Let's go check it out. Come on.
she's been just as much at home.
You got it, girl. What did it feel like today?
It's the Hoda effect. And there's just nothing in the world like it. And everybody feels it.
Because the source is genuine.
Do you feel strong?
When I think about Hoda, I really do think about her heart. That's who she is. That's what guides her.
And what makes it difficult
I'm so happy you came.
to pull her away from fans on the plaza.
And sometimes we're like, we got to run inside for our next segment. She's like, I'll be right there, just one more. I mean, she never stops.
Part of an impact felt in front of and behind the camera.
Hoda's always been able to take the work seriously without taking herself too seriously.
But some serious tears are in store Friday.
Nobody wants her to go. Nobody wants her to go.
It's the end of a unique chapter for Today,
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. I'm out.
but the start of a new one for Hoda Kotb.
We're proud of her. And we can't wait to see her fly.
Mark Barker, NBC News.
And really, Hoda's authenticity is her superpower. Craig Melvin will join Savannah Guthrie as a new co-host on the Today Show Monday, January 13th.
It is a WRAL Weather Alert Day. A lot of our area experiencing these types of rainy conditions and temperatures near freezing like you're seeing live in Roxborough right now. When we can expect some clearing.
It is one of the fastest growing counties in our state. And now some homeowners in Johnston County are dealing with a sharp spike in property taxes. Why the news isn't all bad. But first, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers. A massive winter storm is taking aim at more than 60 million Americans. No snow for us, but parts of the viewing area have been dealing with rain and even sleet.
Yeah, and we have team coverage of our winter weather with Eric Miller standing by in the WRAL Storm Tracker. We do want to begin, though, with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner right now in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
Still watching the rain here. Really, our potential for any freezing precipitation is mostly over. We still have up near the Virginia line temperatures close to freezing, but the precipitation is tapering off very quickly. This is going to be the back edge of it. And so the back edge of it is already clear. The I-85 corridor and folks north, you're mostly done. You might get a little drizzle, a little sprinkle as we get through the afternoon, but that's going to be the bulk of the measurable rainfall. And gradually in the next hour, it slips completely out of the viewing area. So we're almost done with this. You can see it's tapered off here. Just again, a little purple showing up there due to the fact that the temperature is very close to freezing. Not likely to be any more of ice accumulation, but we did have a little bit of that in some spots this morning. A few viewers said, yeah, we've got a little bit of a glaze of ice in our northern counties. We didn't really see problems on the roads, of course, or even on bridges, which looked like the most likely scenario. A couple of sprinkles possible through around 6 or 7 o'clock, and then we start to clear out. We get a big blast of cold air that comes in overnight tonight. Wind chills are going to bring us down into the teens for tomorrow morning. We take another look at Storm Tracker here along the northern half of the Beltline, and that's where Eric Miller is. Taking a look there, Eric, it looks like you are still in the middle of where the rain is falling right now, coming down on the heavier side in some places there for sure. How's it looking? I know you're probably glad to be in the car, not out of the car.
Definitely glad to be in the car, Elizabeth. You could crack your thesaurus open to unpleasant, read out every adjective you can find there. That's pretty much how you sum up today on the roads. Taking a live look outside right now. We're on the Beltline approaching that Wade Avenue intersection. What we're seeing right now is what we have seen all morning long, a consistent, at times heavy and unpleasant drizzle that's leaving a decent amount of ponding on the roadways at this point. This has caused some pretty hazardous conditions out there, too. You take a look at this video. This was shot on I-40 near the Rock Quarry Road interchange, a multi-vehicle crash. We've been checking in with RPD on this, still working to get more details, learn if weather was indeed a factor here and if there were any injuries here. But we have heard that it's been a very busy day for Raleigh police officers out there on the roads. So many crashes like this popping up, and not just there on 40, but on the Beltline, really all over. You know, a good day to remember to slow down, take it easy, and if you do see those first responders out there, anybody who happens to be stopped because of a crash, slow down even more, give them extra space. Things are a little dangerous out there.
Eric, thanks for being out there. And of course, you know, it doesn't take a whole lot of rain to create a lot of accidents, and we've definitely seen a lot of rain for the first half of the day. Now, fortunately, the evening commute is not likely to look like that, so you won't have to worry as much about it. It's still maybe a little bit damp, but skies should be clearing. We should start to see some drying. Just a note, the winter weather advisory is expired for all of our viewing area except for Mecklenburg County, Virginia. It is possible that they could continue to see a little light wintry precipitation overnight and into early tomorrow. Our temperatures near the Virginia line are close to freezing right now, but elsewhere we're above freezing. Our temperature 38 right now at RDU, and our high temperature will climb into the upper 40s for later this afternoon. Coming up, we're going to take a deeper dive into our potential for some wintry precipitation this weekend.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, taking a live look at RDU. Not a great day to travel, especially if you're heading up north to the Boston area, New York, Philadelphia, any of those areas. You're going to run into a lot of delays. This is the misery map. You can see all of these airports along the northeast really backed up and delayed. Taking a look a little closer to home, delays at RDU right now stand at 71, cancellations 32. That's gone up about 10 since I was on here about 12 o'clock. So I'm going to keep an eye on this and let you know how much more this is going to go up. But if you do have a flight today, check it before you head out the door.
You can certainly count on WRAL no matter what type of weather comes our way. We'll bring you live updates to any weather changes on WRAL.com, WRAL News Plus, and the WRAL app.
Property values in Johnston County have skyrocketed. Today, the Board of Commissioners heard from the public for the first time after reappraisal notices went out Friday. Neighbors are concerned about what it could mean for their taxes and if they can afford to stay. WRAL's Carly Haynes is live in Johnston County. Carly, you sat in on that board meeting. This is stressful for a lot of folks.
Renee, this room was overflowing with people, and a lot of the concerns are surrounding those reappraisal notices, as this was really the first time that people in Johnston County could talk to their county leaders directly about it since getting those notices on Friday. And we heard from the tax administrator who said that those property values went up by an average of 70.6% in Johnston County. Some more, some less. That's the change in market value since the last reappraisal in 2019. Your property value is based on similar properties in the immediate area. The county did a mass appraisal of 120,000 properties. Many of the people here were concerned their new value is not accurate and that a potential tax increase will force them out of Johnston County.
I don't understand how they expect me to pay that being retired, being on a fixed income, and all these people that are in here. You'll notice a lot of them are elder people. How are they going to afford to pay that much of an increase?
I just want to reiterate, taxes aren't set just yet. The Board of Commissioners will have to determine the tax rate over the summer. It's unclear what they'll determine it to be, but board members noted that other counties in North Carolina did slash the tax rate when values went up. North Carolina does require counties to reappraise those properties at least every 8 years. In 2019, this board decided to do it sooner, every 4 years going forward, to reduce the chance of sticker shock. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Johnston County.
Appearance versus performance. Why whether people wear makeup to work is sparking debate.
Dorothy's ruby red slippers were stolen, and a man accused of that theft will appear in court 7 years after they were recovered. United Airlines plans to start testing Elon Musk's Starlink for in-flight internet next month. It expects to begin offering the service on a commercial flight this spring. United plans to outfit its entire 2-cabin regional fleet and have its first Starlink-enabled plane on major routes by the end of the year. Starlink provides broadband internet service through a network of satellites. A man charged in connection with the theft of a pair of ruby slippers worn by Judy Garland in The Wizard of Oz plans to plead guilty this Friday. A federal grand jury indicted Jerry Slitterman for his role in the 2005 heist at a museum in Michigan. The 77-year-old is the second man charged in connection with the theft of the slippers. The shoes were recovered by the FBI in a sting operation in 2018. Last month, they sold at auction for $28 million.
We've all heard the phrase, never judge a book by its cover. But many women in the workplace say it's more common than you think. The question of whether it's unprofessional for women to choose not to wear makeup in the workplace is gaining steam on social media. Some women question if going to work without makeup impacts them professionally. One recruiter says managers should give pointers to help people perform well, but never discuss their physical appearance.
I think that going into the office and looking professional and giving your best in terms of doing the work is really what matters. And I can't imagine being judged based on how much or how little or no makeup at all is worn.
Ultimately, experts agree that job performance is what matters most.
People going to the movies will soon be able to use any kind of container they want as a popcorn bucket. It's in honor of National Popcorn Day on January 19th. Cinemark will allow guests to use, well, literally anything as a bucket. The container has to hold up to 400 ounces, which is equivalent to 2 extra large orders of popcorn. The price will be just $5. No free refills allowed, though. If you can't get creative, don't worry. You can still get that extra large popcorn for $5.
A 4-bedroom, 1-bath home in New Mexico has become a destination for fans, and now the owners are putting it on the market. How much the realtor is asking for the famous Breaking Bad house.
We're also tracking this wintry weather across our viewing area. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner returns after the break with how long this winter chill will stick around. For a year, WRAL's Keely Arthur investigated the Wake County School District's mishandling of a now convicted teacher. Tonight, she sits down with a retired teacher who tried to report him more than a year before the district did anything about it. And Keely joins us now with what this retired teacher told you. Keely.
Yeah, and we had been trying so long to get somebody in this capacity to speak on record. She did. She said she witnessed James Rencher assault students, reported it to the principal at East Wake High School, but insisted on being reprimanded. He was named Teacher of the Week and promoted to a better paying position at another school. That was James Rencher.
And your reporting led to Rencher's arrest. How did all that unfold?
Yes. So about a month after the teacher reported Rencher to administrators, parents started receiving these anonymous letters saying Rencher was abusing their students. Keep in mind, these students are nonverbal and have special needs, so they could not speak up for themselves. We began investigating the letters and found the district failed to report the abuse to police for more than a year. We also found that Rencher allegedly did something similar at a middle school.
So now this retired teacher is calling for top district leaders, including the superintendent and East Wake principal, to resign. Is that right?
That's right. And it's because our records show they really did know about the abuse. They were made aware of it a year, if not months earlier. And this teacher you see on your screen right now, she's now retired, so she felt like she could come forward. She says they really swept it under the rug, and she feels like it was just completely mishandled.
All right, we'll get further details on that as you watch the full story tonight at 6. Keely, thank you for that. Renee?
Important work by Keely and her team, and we'll see what else she reveals there tonight on her report here. So thinking to today, Monday being the first day back to school and work, and this just looks like a Monday, like just gray, miserable, and rainy.
The worst kind of Monday for sure. So we are seeing wet conditions everywhere. Fayetteville, temperatures are pretty warm in Fayetteville right now, on up into the 50s there. Apex is chilly though, with rain falling, as well as Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. And you can see the water there on the camera lens and Raleigh. We'll take another look at Dual Doppler 5000 radar. This is the back edge of the rain. So some of our western counties are done with it. And when I say done with it, I'm talking about measurable rain. During the evening commute, there could be a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of patchy light rain, but we shouldn't see anything else measurable. Mecklenburg County, Virginia is still under a winter weather advisory until tomorrow morning, just because they're going to be close enough to continue to see some of that cold air and potentially some wraparound moisture. But we shouldn't see much of that for the rest of our viewing area. Speaking of wraparound, you can see some of that snow wrapping around the Ohio Valley down into Kentucky, and eventually that will likely bring some snow to the mountains of North Carolina. But we're not going to see anything else that's wintry in terms of precipitation. But boy, those temperatures are going to start to feel bitter. This is a look at our wind gust forecast. Notice how the winds really start to increase as we get into the late afternoon and evening, up to around 30 or 35 miles per hour. This is a look at the wind chill. So this is what it's going to feel like at 3 o'clock. It's likely to feel like 28 up in Roxborough, but 60 in Fayetteville. So huge difference in both our temperature and our wind chill forecast for this afternoon. But then we start to see more of that cold air sinking southward, and we're going to see those winds starting to pick up. At 5 o'clock, it'll feel like 31 in Durham, 28 in South Hill, 41 in Southern Pines and in Goldsboro, and that cold air just continues to roll in. Look at this. At midnight, it'll feel like teens almost everywhere, and then tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., look at this. It'll feel like 13 in Durham, 10 in South Hill, 19 in Clinton, 17 in Southern Pines. This is what we're going to wake up to tomorrow morning, so do keep that in mind. We're going to see some cold air sticking around for much of the week. So we'll have it in place as our next system arrives starting late Friday. If the system goes farther north, we'll see mostly rain. If it goes farther south, we'll have a better chance for seeing snow. But it is too early to tell right now. This is a look at Futurecast, and this is a look at Friday morning. We're going to be dry to start with, and then here comes the system. This particular version of Futurecast, kind of in the middle of the road, could be our northern counties see a wintry mix, but it does look like it changes over during the day on Saturday to all rain. Of course, we're going to see so many more runs of the computer models and a lot of different scenarios. It is just too early to tell. But this is a look at maybe a worst case scenario in terms of snow that we might see. We'll roll it on ahead from Friday into the day Saturday. And you can see from Raleigh northward, potentially a half an inch of snow. So not a lot of snow, but again, we're going to see a lot of changes with the forecast. Here's what we do know and what we don't know. It is likely that we will have a storm system. It is possible that we could see snow or wintry mix or all rain, just depending on the path of that storm. Of course, when we're looking at snow forecasts, we have a timeline, 7 to 9 days. We're just looking at patterns. We're now in the 5 to 7 day time period. And so we're going to look, is it trending up? Is it trending more towards snow? Is it trending more toward rain? And we'll fine tune that forecast as we get closer to the weekend. Again, tomorrow morning, don't forget, it's going to be bitterly cold with the wind chill in the morning. Afternoon highs, 40 Wednesday, 37 Thursday. So we will have some cold air in place as we edge toward the weekend.
Elizabeth, thanks. Fans of the hit series Breaking Bad will instantly recognize this home.
Yeah.
The house is on the market. Why the owners put the 1,900 square foot home up for sale.
We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today. With breaking news out of Southern Pines, where police are looking for a man accused of stabbing his father. It happened at a home on Cypress Circle yesterday, shortly before 1 in the afternoon. Police say 20-year-old Chase Terziu stabbed his father several times. His father was flown to the hospital for treatment. Officers believe Chase has a firearm, and they say he should be considered dangerous.
A Durham mother accused of shooting her young daughter faced a judge this morning. 24-year-old Vintasia Sowell bonded out of jail on Saturday, hours after the shooting happened. Court records show her daughter had injuries to her spleen, liver, kidney, and stomach. Her daughter's just 4 years old. Sowell's next court date is February 17th.
We now know the names of 2 people who died in a crash in Sampson County near Clinton. This is video from the WRAL breaking news tracker around 12:30 this morning on Reedsford Road. State Highway Patrol says the driver was Angel Garcia, and he was speeding and veered off the road, hit a mailbox and 2 trees. He was not wearing a seatbelt. His passenger, Daniel Gonzalez, was wearing a seatbelt, but also died in that crash.
The iconic house featured in Breaking Bad is up for sale. Fans of the hit TV show Breaking Bad might recognize it as the home of mild-mannered high school chemistry teacher Walter White. The current owners say they've been overrun with strangers and even received unwanted packages. The 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom home is listed at $4 million.
I hope Jesse's not hanging out in there. The Consumer Electronics Show begins tomorrow in Las Vegas, and artificial intelligence will be a major focus of this year's event. Samsung is expanding a push into AI with a suite of enhancements to its premium TVs. The AI-powered screens will be able to search online for information about what's being displayed, like identifying a product or an actor. They'll also be able to translate in real time and generate custom background images, as well as boost colors and optimize audio.
Our pet of the day is an 8-month-old tabby from Purr Partners. Meet Fractal. The handsome fella has a lively and playful spirit. We're told he's always on the move, chasing toys and exploring. Fractal would do well with a kitty playmate to keep up with his energy and enthusiasm. You can find more about Fractal and other kitties ready for adoption at purrpartners.org. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can always get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. We'll have some weather ones on there for sure. Have a good day.